Now that you're in your Zoom meeting, this video is going to show you all those different features that you can use within your Zoom meeting. The only two features that I'm going to leave off is the breakout rooms feature and the share screen feature. I'm going to do a video on each of those features individually because there's a little more to them, and sometimes you might want to go back and refer to those specific features on how to do something or just how they work. And also that would make this video really long. It's a lot easier to go through all these other features kind of quickly because there's just a lot of little features and that really gives you a ton of control within the meeting. This video I'm going to show you all of those features. If you are seeing this video just after I uploaded it, give it a day or two and you'll see a video on the breakout rooms features and the share screen feature. If it's been a little while since I've uploaded the video, you can go find those right away. I'm also making a Zoom tutorials playlist that'll just have a kind of a list of all those different videos just to help you get going in Zoom, or if there's just some things you want to learn a little bit more about it. This video again is going to focus on the features within a meeting. So once you've started that Zoom meeting, to know those other features that you can use on scheduling a meeting and things like that, refer to a previous video I created that shows you kind of all the before you get going in a Zoom. So let's jump in and view all those Zoom features. Now that you're in your Zoom meeting, hello. I'm going to show you all the different features that you can use while you're actually in a Zoom, and this is as being the host. So the first thing is when you move your mouse around, you're going to notice all the navigation icons across the bottom and a little bit at the top up here. The first one is over here in the top left, turn off or on original sound. If you are using a really nice USB microphone, or if you have an audio interface with a nice XLR mic, kind of like what you're seeing right here that's plugged in, you want to make sure you turn that on. All you do is to turn it on is just by clicking on it. You'll see I'm toggling it on and off. If you're just using your built-in webcam mic or the built-in mic on your laptop or any kind of cheaper mic, I really wouldn't worry about that. So that turn on or off original sound will allow your microphone to get the best possible sound that it can get. So we're going to come and keep going down along the edge here. We're going to come down to these bottom two icons that you see, the unmute, mute button and the stop video button. If you want to mute your microphone, really good protocol. If you're not talking, mute it. Very easy also to forget to turn it on and you just start talking and you get a bunch of people saying, hey, can you turn your mic on? If you're watching some people that aren't used to being in Zoom meetings or any web-based conferencing, you see it all the time. So you are not the only one that will probably do it, and you probably won't be the last one. But to toggle that, you can just click on and off the mic, and you'll see there's a little red slash through it. When I click on it again, you'll see it's actually the slash goes, and you'll see a little green coloration coming up that shows there's sound passing through it. I'm going to keep it muted, so just in case nothing comes through this recording. The next one is stop video. If I click on it, you're going to see my video disappears, and it just shows my name. If you have an image that you've attached to your account, you will see that image. But if I click it again, you'll see my video comes back. Next to the mute and the video icon, you're going to see these little up arrows. If I click on the one next to the microphone, it's going to show you all the different options you can select for inputs, output. So the first thing at this top here you can choose is what microphone you want to use. If you're just using the built-in, you want to make sure it says built-in. If you're plugging a microphone into it, you want to make sure you have the mic selected that you're using. Then you can also custom a speaker. So if you plug in a headphones, you can make sure it's using the headphones. I have an audio interface plugged in, so I'm making sure it goes through that audio interface. You can also test your speaker and microphone. You can switch to phone audio, so you actually call in using your phone. You can leave the audio completely, so you can't even be heard. Or you can go into your audio settings and adjust some other features to those audio settings. Same idea when you click the arrow next to video. You can choose your webcam. You can also choose a virtual background. So if you have a green screen, or if you don't care on how good or bad it looks, because what you'll see is some edging, fuzziness around the edging going on. Also depends what color you're wearing. But if you don't have a green screen, it's a little hit or miss if it's going to look good enough or not. But hey, give it a try. You never know. You can also choose some video filters or go into your video settings and do a little more customization of your video settings. Now, if we keep going along the bottom here over to security, and if I click on security, It's going to give me a bunch of quick features. So the first one is lock meeting. That means when I lock the meeting, no new people can join. That means who's in there is in there. Enable waiting room. This is strongly suggested. The waiting room, what happens is if you keep that enabled, when somebody tries to join the meeting, they will first go into this waiting room and you will actually be able to admit them into the meeting. So let's say you have some students that just want to kind of mess around with you a little bit, and maybe when you send out your invite for them to come into their class for the day, they decide to send it out to some other people. Let's say those people try to join your meeting. You can use the waiting room to ensure only the people that want to. You can use the waiting room to only ensure the people that need to be in the meeting are in the meeting. Those in the waiting room cannot see each other. They don't know who else is in the meeting. They don't know who else is in the waiting room, and they can't see anybody in there or talk to anybody. So it's kind of a blind entry. You actually have to admit them, and I will show that feature in just a few. So the waiting room, I would really suggest keeping that on at all times. You can hide profile pictures, up to you. You can enable participants to share their screen. This is really nice, and it's really quick to toggle it on or off. So you might have most of your presentation where you don't want the kids or whoever is involved in the Zoom meeting to share their screen, but there might come a time where you want somebody to share their screen. All you have to do is click on that to enable it, and the check mark will show. Then if you want to stop that from being able to happen, you uncheck it. Just prevents people from sharing a screen when you don't want them to share a screen. You can also enable and disable the chat room. You can enable or disable people from renaming themselves. If you have students that like to mess around a little bit, you may not want them to be able to rename themselves. You can also have it where the students can be allowed to unmute themselves or not. So you can control muting and unmuting. If you're doing a lot of interaction with back and forth, that might be a lot of work on you, and you also may forget to turn that on and off. So I would take it as a judgment call on who is involved in the meeting. If it's pretty much a meeting of you just talking and utilizing the chat room, maybe you want to mute them and then disable the ability for them to do that. And then you can disable the ability for people to start video. The participants tab. This is kind of the meat and potatoes here. So you'll see you've got me as the host in the meeting right now, but let's say you want to invite somebody else to the meeting. You're going to see down here at the bottom there's an invite button. And when I click on that, you've got a couple of options here. You've got copy invite link. So if you notice when you've sent out an invitation to somebody before, there's a link like zoom.us and it's got a bunch of gobbledygook after it. And what they can do is just click on that link and it takes them right to the meeting so they can join in. I don't prefer that one as much, but with students that might be really kind of nice. I like to actually copy the invitation. The invitation is that full email that you get where you see the link to join. It gives you the meeting ID, the passcode, and all the information. What you can do is copy that, go into your email, paste it, and then send it out to everybody you want to join in on the meeting. What you will notice at the top of this box, though, is it does give you the meeting ID. If you need that ID really quickly, it's right there. And then you'll see on the bottom is the actual passcode. You can also, if they're in your contacts list, you can invite them. So in there, it's blurred out so people can't see who's in my contacts list. But you would see a list of your contacts, and you could just quickly click on them to send them an invite to the meeting. What I am going to do is I'm going to actually join the meeting with my cell phone so you can actually see what happens. So now I'm joining the meeting from my phone. And what you're going to see across the top is such and such a person has entered. You could admit them. And you will also see if you have the participants sidebar opened, you will see that Obi-Wan Kenobi wants to join the meeting. You can either remove them, meaning they won't even make it into the meeting, or you can actually admit them. So I'm going to click on admit. And I'm going to actually I'm going to stop my video and mute it so there's no issues there. But what you're going to see now is you're going to see my phone in that side list. So I'm going to close this out. And as you get more people in there, you'll be able to see them, and you can quickly see who's muted, who has their video turned off. You can see all those different features. And if I hover my mouse over, I can ask that person to unmute, or under more, I can ask them to start video. I can make the person a host. So say you have a co-teacher in there or somebody else that's just helping you out, you can make them a co-host. If you have some kids that are liking to mess around a little bit, you could rename them. And then if you disable that ability, only you can rename people. You can put them back in the waiting room. You can remove them or report them. Report them means this is somebody, if you remember those Zoom bombings that happened months and months ago, if you had somebody that happened to crash your meeting, you could actually report them right to Zoom, and Zoom will look into what happened and possibly deny their account. Across the bottom here, I already showed you the invite. You can mute everybody, or you can click on the more. And from here, you can kind of do the same things that was underneath that security tab. You can ask everybody to unmute, mute upon entry. If somebody comes in and out, you can have it just play a little chime that you'll hear. You can lock the meeting, and then you can allow the participants to unmute themselves, rename, start video, all the same things you saw under the security feature. So a really nice little sidebar there. To get rid of it, you just click on the participants again, and it's gone. So what I'm going to do on my phone for the moment, actually I'm going to leave that running. The next thing I want to show is the chat room. So if you tap on chat, you can allow a chat room where you can chat back and forth with the individuals in the Zoom meeting, and they can also send messages amongst themselves. So there's two ways to do it. There's the public chat, which means everybody sees what's going on in the chat. There's nothing hidden. But if you come down to the bottom here, you'll see it says to everyone. If I click on that, I can actually change it to just Obi-Wan Kenobi. And what it's doing is it's called a direct message. So now I can send just a direct message to Obi-Wan, which would be really cool. It has some really nice features, but if you're doing it within a class, I would caution you against the direct message feature, because you as the host, teacher, you cannot see those direct messages. There's no way to see them. So the really nice thing, I'm going to switch it back to everyone. Over here on the right, you're going to see those three little dots. If I tap on that, you can control who can message. So you can have it, nobody can use the chat, including yourself. You can make it so only you as the host can use the chat. You can have it so everyone can chat publicly. That means there's no capability of direct messages, or everyone publicly and directly, meaning it's an open chat. People can send messages directly to the person, or you can talk out in the open in the public room. In a class, I would strongly suggest changing it to everyone publicly. That will make it so you can see all the communications that are going on. I know we've had a few situations where kids have sent direct messages that not quite appropriate. So this just gets rid of all that, so you as the teacher can see everything that's going on within the class. The other thing you can do is click on File, and you can send, if you have a Word document or a Google Doc or a PDF file that you want to share out to the class, you can click File, and that will post the file right in the chat so that everybody will be able to see that file at the same time. So that is the chat room. So now I'm going to actually, on my phone, I'm going to leave the meeting, because there's no need to have that up. So as I mentioned in the start of the video, I'm going to leave the share screen feature alone for right now, and I'm going to leave the breakout room feature alone for right now. So when I click on record, you have two options. So you can actually record your Zoom meeting. So some people like to just use this as a device to record themselves because it's a really powerful program and it allows you to do share screens and things like that. But if you're giving a lecture, a lesson, and maybe you have some students missing, you can actually click the record to the cloud or record on this computer. And what will happen is when you end the meeting, it will save that recording to either your computer or the cloud. Now, there are two things. Some of you may not have the cloud option. We have an organizational account that allows you to save it to the cloud. So once you do that, you can go to zoom.us. And then once you log in with your account, over on the left-hand side, you'll actually see Zoom record, or I think it says it's recordings is what you'll see over there. If you click on that, you'll actually see a list of all the recordings that you've saved. But if you record on this computer, it will save it to the computer after you end the meeting. And then you can edit it, you can share it, depending on your comfort level with working with video files. As I said, you can actually bring that video file into an editor. You can do an intro and outro, take parts out, you can add things in, or you can just upload it to Google Drive or YouTube and just share the file directly. So that's a really handy little feature. The reactions feature, it's just kind of little fluff, maybe just to make the meeting a little more interesting, but you can have a clapping, a thumbs up, You got the heart emoji, the crying, laughing, the oh my goodness, and then the celebration one. So those are just little things that you can just do that kind of add a little bit more to it. Then the last part of this is the end. So when I actually click end and I'm done for the meeting, I can either leave the meeting or I can end it for everyone. Some of the other platforms out there, when you as the teacher leave the meeting, if everybody else isn't gone yet, they can still stay in there and chat and you have no way to know what's going on. When you do the end meeting for all, that boots everybody instantly out of the meeting and it's done. That's a hard cutoff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say end meeting for all, and that ends the meeting completely for everybody. I hope you found this video of help, and maybe even if you were quite comfortable with Zoom, maybe learned a couple new features. I would always check Zoom for updates because they are constantly updating the program and always adding new features. So I would definitely keep an eye on updates and see what new features they add. If you haven't really been able to use Zoom much, I really hope this video helped you learning a little bit more about Zoom. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a question below. I will respond. And while you're down there, please hit that like button. And again, while you're already there, you might as well hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all my latest tutorials. Otherwise, this is Adam on Tech, signing off.